Here to respond, the Democratic candidate for governor of Florida, the Tallahassee Mayor, Andrew Gillum. Mr. Mayor, good afternoon and welcome to Fox News Channel.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, your opponents outspent you in candidate funds, $106 million to less than $7 million. You never led in a poll. You were fourth among Democrats in most of the polls. In the last 2 weeks, you surged, and when all the votes were counted last night, you beat a woman from a Florida Democratic political dynasty and all the rest. How did you do that?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a slow and steady process of 18 months. I literally moved around this state retailing my way through neighborhood associations, church conferences, anybody who we could get to talk to us. We talked to about the future of the state of Florida. I think it also helped, you know, that as I was the only non-millionaire running for governor in the Democratic primary, born to my mother who was a school bus driver and my dad who was a construction worker, that my everyday lived experience in this state really better reflected that of the everyday Floridian over anybody else running. And I think that that really played an important part in our messaging and how we came across and what we communicated around, I think, the kind of change that our state is looking for and what we deserve.
You took a new path compared to Democrats in recent cycles in the state of Florida. Rather than running as a moderate, you ran from the left. You ran on legalizing marijuana for Floridians. You ran on more attention to the environment, abolishing ICE, and abolishing the Stand Your Ground law. Will you be moderating for the primary as Democrats are wont to do in that state, or are you going to stay left?
Well, I tell you, I'm going to stay true. I'm going to stay consistent with my values, and I'm going to offer voters something to go out and vote for and not just against. I don't think it is a blue or red or a purple issue to say that you want clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, oceans that are not producing dead sea life because of blue-green algae that is suffocating the east and the west coast of the state of Florida. To say that we ought to pay teachers what they're worth, especially here in the state of Florida, where teachers' average salary is the 45th lowest out of 50 states.
Well, since you mentioned money,
that you want to dismantle the criminal justice system,
since you mentioned money, Mr. Mayor, you also ran on universal health care, lots more money for schools and especially for teachers, raising the minimum wage to $15 for all Floridians. Specifically, Mr. Mayor, if elected governor, how are you going to pay for that?
Yeah, well, what we have proposed is an increase in the corporate tax rate, which in the state of Florida is lower than our neighboring states of Alabama and Georgia. Right now, we're at 5.25%, and we've suggested going up to just over 7%, which puts us in line with many other states. And part of what it creates $1 billion in funding for our public education system. And part of it is that I just don't believe that corporations choose states to locate in when they are 40th out of 50th in the public education system. They don't choose states to locate when they've got blue-green algae of guacamole content flowing out of the east and the west side of the state. Good corporations choose places where they can identify a good, strong workforce, where they can be ensured that their employees will enjoy a good quality of life. That's simply what we're offering here, and I think that that's how we're going to grow, in my opinion, a more robust Florida economy.
Analysts I've heard to have said the others didn't pay much attention to you in this primary because you were so far back. The attacks are coming, and they will come fast and furious. You ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been elected for 15 years. I don't mind taking a punch, and I can deliver one myself. But the truth is that what Florida voters are looking for is a candidate who's going to speak to their issues. They're sick of the gutter politics. They hate this atmosphere of division and derision. They really want a candidate who I believe is going to talk and speak directly to the things that impact them at their dinner table. That's what we did through this primary election, and that's what's going to allow us to win on November 6th in the general.
One of the things they'll probably come for you with is there's a big scandal in Tallahassee, and everybody in Florida and South Georgia and everywhere else knows about it. Some FBI agents came into Tallahassee, went undercover. USA Today calls it the biggest investigation in years and says indictments are as sure as an August afternoon thunderstorm. You've said that you're not a target of this investigation, but you were at a wine and dine with some good friends who could very well face federal subpoenas. And I wonder how you'll explain that and if you can ensure the voters of Florida that you had nothing to do with it and no troubles coming your way.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I've got no doubt in saying that I don't expect any trouble my way because I know my conscience, I know how I vote, I know what my values and principles are. The difference between me and Ron DeSantis, obviously, when it comes to the FBI, is that I've welcomed their investigation to get to the bottom of any corruption that might exist. In his case, he and Donald Trump have done everything that they could to undermine the FBI. That is, in my opinion, where we draw a strong difference with each other. And again, I'm happy to talk about what the issues are in this race. I'm not going to be lectured, however, by any of my opponents, certainly not Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, about the FBI, especially given the way in which we have handled their investigation into any impropriety done by any individual. By comparison to how they do.
Your November opponent, Ron DeSantis, as mentioned, was on Fox News Channel this morning. And since then, there has been a bubbling on the internet. It's trending. It's at the top of most political websites. Something that he said to our host, Sandra Smith, regarding the upcoming election. I want to let our viewers hear what was said.
So we've got to work hard to make sure that we continue Florida going in a good direction. Let's build off the success we've had on Governor Scott. The last thing we need to do is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases and bankrupting the state.
It was the monkey this up part. Sir, your response.
Yeah, that part wasn't lost on me. It's very clear that Mr. DeSantis is taking a page directly from the campaign manual of Donald Trump. But I think he's got another thing coming to him. If he thinks that in today's day and age, Florida voters are going to respond to that level of derision and division, they're sick of it. What we're trying to offer in this race
was
is
that
a
racist
or where we want to go as a state.
Was that racist or a figment of speech?
Well, in the handbook of Donald Trump, they no longer do whistle calls. They're now using full bullhorns.
And that was a bullhorn?
And what I've got to say about that is that we've got to make sure that we stay focused, I think, on the issues that confront everyday people. I'm not going to get down in the gutter with DeSantis and Trump. There's enough of that going on. I'm going to try and stay high and try to talk about what the North Star and the future is for the state of Florida and the people of this state. And I think that's what people want. They're just so sick of this divisive, derisive politics that have been coming out of Washington and has now infiltrated the politics of this state vis-a-vis Ron DeSantis. He's very clear on day one that he's willing to go down to the gutter. In our opinion, we're going to win this race because we're going to stay high and we're going to remind Floridians of what the true spirit of the American way is. And that's what I'm going to do as governor, help us reach that high mark as a state so that we're a leader again and not a back-of-the-pack state.
I got 30 seconds left. What'd you say to your kids last night?
Oh, my gosh. Well, Shep, they were with me as we saw the results coming in, and I don't mind sharing with you that they had zero interest as they rolled in. We just enjoyed each other, loved on each other, and am so blessed.
All the best. Thank you again. Thanks for coming on Fox News Channel.